in Pestana Hotel doing this interview with European Commissioner Georgieva. I think I
yes,
said in the right spelling.
Yes.
Commissioner, you have several issues in your cabinet. Most of all, the civil protection and the humanitarian aid. It's one of the major subjects in discussion in the European Union and the European institutions. Back in the first days of this European project, the founders of the project thought that a military corps, a military force, was maybe a project that will secure the project itself. Now, 50 years later, we came to the conclusion that the civil force is the right goal to achieve in the near future. Do you agree with that?
I very much agree, because what we are facing today in a world that is rapidly changing is increased frequency of natural disasters and significantly increased cost on societies from these disasters. To fight them, to prepare for them, and to be effective in response, we need a civil protection system of the European Union in which the 27 member countries bring their capabilities together and respond to a call when any one of our member states is overwhelmed by a disaster, or somebody outside of the European Union calls for our help.
One of the major complaints inside the European Union and the citizens itself, but the regional governments and the national governments, it's the difference between the quickness of the European response when it's a member or a region. Madeira had some problems, some natural disaster last February. When it's a member, the bureaucratic process is much longer than if it is an outside country. The aid is much faster. The Mr. Commissioner was last week, I think, in Pakistan, and we have the example of Haiti also, where the help and aid was much faster, much efficient. Where is failing here?
What we have is three instruments to respond. The first one is the civil protection instrument, and there we are equally fast inside and outside. For example, when the floods this year hit Poland, we within 5 hours sent pumping modules, teams to help Poland, water purification plants. We did that immediately. When the floods hit Pakistan, we did this immediately. We now have 17 member states that are helping Pakistan in kind with their rescue teams and their expertise with mobile hospitals and water purification units. The second is the humanitarian aid instrument, and this is only for developing countries, and it is also very fast. Within 24 hours, I can authorize up to 3 million euros in help. Within a week, up to 30 million euros. In the case of Pakistan, we have mobilized 150 million euros to help a country deal with a tremendous disaster that ruined the lives of millions of people. The third instrument is the Solidarity Fund. The Solidarity Fund is for inside the EU. And it is not an emergency response instrument. It is actually a compensatory instrument for member states that are hit by a natural disaster. People sometimes think of it as an emergency response, and they say, where is the cash? Like we are sitting here in Madeira. Madeira was hit by flash floods in February, and only this week we can announce that the Commission has approved 31 million euros.
Yeah.
We are still waiting for approval from the Parliament and the Council. So it's almost a year by the time the check is in the mail.
There's not too many stages of approval.
Right. Because it is a compensation for damage, and it requires a long process of assessing what exactly the size of the damage is, how much it costs, and how much of this should be paid by the European Union. I firmly believe that it makes sense in the future to create a flexible instrument for inside the European Union that goes for immediate help to communities affected by natural disaster. This year, I faced this real challenge when floods hit Romania and Moldova at the same time. For Moldova, I could authorize 3 million euros right away. For Romania, we are going to go through the process of the Solidarity Fund, and eventually Romania will get probably, I cannot predict, but they will probably get money, but it will take a long time. So we are flagging this as an issue to the Parliament and to the Council, and we are saying, let's design in the future equal treatment instruments. So small amount of money, not big amount of money, but small amount of money can be immediately deployed to help, to show solidarity right away, to put the human face of what we do and put inside and outside on equal footing. But this is we don't have it yet.
Ms. Commissioner, how do you mentioned before the increase in the number of catastrophes and the number of disaster and also of humanitarian casualties. How do you see this increase and the relationship between this increase and the increase in financial difficulties in Europe in terms of how the public opinion perceives the willingness to give, let's say, of Europe, and to the willingness not only to aid internally in terms of disasters but also externally? Isn't there also the danger of becoming less sensitive to catastrophes abroad and internally?
I actually am very proud of the European people because our citizens have not stopped or decreased their support for those who are in dire need. We just did this August a public opinion survey, and it shows that 78% of Europeans are willing to help those who suffer from natural disasters or conflicts. Yes. And that is a very high percentage. But what has changed is not the generosity of our people, it is their expectation for accountability for how their money is used, because they face hardship at home, but they're still saying, well, I don't want kids to die because of lack of very basic medicine or food, but I want to be sure that my money goes for medicine and food.
Maybe explaining the case of Pakistan, right?
Yes. And this is where,
yes.
And well, actually, we also saw for Pakistan initially, because the disaster in Pakistan moved from north to south slowly. Initially, the response wasn't so generous, but now we are seeing that people are, not only governments, but also people are giving more. I was in the Netherlands a couple of days ago. Netherlands has collected over 25 million euros to help Pakistan from citizens. So that also shows that our citizens, when they realize how terrible a tragedy is, they would help. But they're asking, what happens to our money? What we do on the humanitarian side in the Commission is two things. One is we don't give money to governments. Partially because we want the help to reach those most needed as quickly as possible, and sometimes governments, especially hit by disasters, may be slow. Partially because we want to be sure that there is no abuse, there is no corruption that may take away from these resources. And secondly, we have our own staff on the ground in hotspot areas in Darfur, in Niger, in Pakistan, And these are the people that are the eyes and ears of our European citizens. They're there to make sure that what we fund actually reaches those that need the help. I'm a very big believer in accountability.
Yes.
And I want to be my staff to think about results, what is that we are achieving. Not so much how much money we are going to spend, but what is it that we are getting for this money. And I can tell you today, 2009, we have helped 119 million people around the world. And then I can say we spent $1 billion euros for that, for 119 million people to be helped.
Just one? Just one. That's hard. You talk about the example of Moldova and Romania, and the quickness that Moldova had to manage the help, and Romania had to face the bureaucracy of the European institutions. Do you think that the European institutions, and we have the example of the national budgets now, you are aware of that, I'm sure. Do you think that the European institutions have, at some countries, some South countries, in suspicions now that this Mediterranean line, because of the past, because of some problems with the national budgets, do you think that there are two Europes now?
Well, first, let me be clear that the Solidarity Fund is designed by the member states to be that mechanism. It is not the Commission that is running it in this way. It was designed by finance ministers in member states to be very conservatively deployed when absolutely needed. So that is not an emergency response instrument. But it doesn't mean that we don't need a small emergency response instrument. Second, I come from the country that is the poorest in Europe. In my country, there is a great deal of positive expectation that being a member of the EU will lead to more effective institutions, better infrastructure, more opportunities for people. There is also recognition that currently we sometimes face misuse of funds and sometimes even corruption of funds. And our government in Bulgaria takes it upon itself to lift up the level of accountability and then prove it that we are equal. We are as good a member as any. So, to answer your question, I think it is very important today in these difficult economic times to do everything we can to lift up the level of comfort of our taxpayers everywhere, that we make good use of their hard-earned money. And do everything we can to stick together. I certainly very much hope that we are €1 and not 2. And I personally would do everything I can in my area of responsibility to give confidence to the European citizens that Europe, United Europe, is the great thing that we can do for ourselves and for our children.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time.